the next kind of psychological piece that I kind of want to incorporate is called mirroring and matching. And basically it's just the process of kind of being a chameleon, right? And so you want to be able to meet people where they are. And to do that, you kind of got to shed your own stuff a little bit, right? You kind of got to put your stuff down for a bit and kind of jump in with someone kind of wherever they are, right? So you want to be a little bit more like the person that you're speaking with. Now, this is going to sound a little manipulative to some of you, and I promise you it's really the highest form of empathy, okay? And it's something that you do naturally. I was actually talking with Kate, and Kate was talking about how, you know, this is labeling the emotion felt a little, you know, forward almost, right? And that's something that we do in our, you know, our personal lives, but it works a lot better than you might think. So it's not manipulation. It's really just kind of meeting someone where they are, because people open up and connect with people that remind themselves of themselves. It's just a kind of fact. And if you don't mirror and match, you tend to offend and alienate your lead. And we'll talk a little bit about that later, but it's kind of like if you wanted to divide the world into lambs and lions, right? Lions scare lambs and lambs frustrate lions, right? So if we're talking to a lion, we want to be a lion. If we're talking to a lamb, we want to be a lamb, okay? So like I said, it's really just a key to good communication. Mirroring and matching is leaving your stuff behind and climbing into their shoes, okay? So we're going to jump a little bit into the DISC profile. Can you type in the chat box here, yes or no? Do you know what the DISC profile is? See, no. Okay, none knows. Me too, Dana. Me too. That's why we're besties. All right, perfect. All right. So we're going to jump into DISC profiles, okay? A lot of no's. So basically, DISC profile is a summary of how we act and communicate, okay? It's not really anything more than that. It's not an in-depth psychological survey. It's not a inescapable truth about anything. It's just how we act and how we communicate, okay? The DISC profile is basically broken up into 4 quadrants, okay? The D, which stands for dominance, I, which stands for influencing, C for cautious, and S for stabilizing, okay? And basically, everybody usually, not everybody, but most people have 2. So you can be an IF, you can be a SC, you can be a DC, you can be a DI, okay? Now, the other way to think about this is if you were to divide, you take the circle, the top half of the circle, those are extroverts, okay? So the D's and the I's are extroverts, and the C's and the S's are introverts. And then if you were to divide it along the I want to say vertical. Up and down axis. Vertical. That sounds way more intelligent than the up and down axis. Thank you. If you divide it along the vertical axis, to the left are task-oriented people, and the other are people-oriented people. So introverts, extroverts, task. Oh, you can't see the picture, Ashley?
No, it's just really blurry. It's you can't read the writing. I don't know if there's like a link or something, you know, just so I can read.
Actually, I'm glad that you said that. Yeah, we do have a link. Give me 1 second.
Can you guys at least see the D, the I, the C, and the S?
Yeah, I just can't see I mean, at least on my screen, I just can't see the black writing underneath it.
Okay.
I got you.
No worries. Have you guys ever felt this way? Like when you're talking with someone and you kind of just you really click with them and you're like, we're totally vibing. Or you speak with someone and you're like, they don't seem to be understanding anything I'm saying. Or this conversation seems really, really hard. Have you felt that before? That's what this is related to. So if you guys are talking to someone and maybe they talk really slow, you're like, just spit it out. Come on, finish that sentence, right? Chances are they probably are a C or an S. But if you have someone that's like really aggressive and a go-getter, this is what I want, X, Y, and Z, show it to me now. That's probably someone that's a D and an I. And if you can kind of get really good at recognizing and mimicking them, you're going to have a lot higher success rate working with that person. Does that make sense to everybody?
So you're trying to
Absolutely.
figure out what they are and you do kind of the opposite of what you do. So if you're high in D&I, then you're trying to match their CNS.
So you want to figure out what they are, and you want to be like a chameleon and kind of match them, regardless of what you are. What you will tend to find, the people that are similar like you naturally, it will be very much seem easier, right? The people that are very different from you, you're going to really have to be mindful. Willem, did you have a question?
Yes, I was just gonna say, I can't really like look at everyone's name, but the gentleman that was speaking first, when he was talking about how it's not manipulative, and then I liked what he said when he said it's more like you're hopping into their shoes. I like when it's phrased that way too, because it is I get what you're saying, because it is mirroring. You want them to feel comfortable, like you understand them. I think it's also like a good way to say when you're like, when you hop into anybody's shoes and try to see from their point of view, they're gonna feel like some type of connection towards you. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
100%. Yep. So there's a link in there to a lot of different things that we're talking about today, so that you guys can all check that out. We're just kind of going to go through each of the 4 quadrants to kind of get a little deeper understanding. Okay. So D, and that stands for dominance. Those are driven, direct, determined, fast-paced people. Okay. They value action, results, and freedom. Their strengths, those are not their strengths. That is their weaknesses, are patience. Sorry about the slide error there. Their weaknesses are patience, sensitivity, and emotions, right? Those are things that they struggle with, okay? They struggle with patience, they struggle with sensitivity and emotions. They want to fix it. They don't want to feel it or talk about it. They're fixers, right? And for communication with them, you want to be brief and specific. You want to be bold and confident. I like to say be quick and be gone is how you want to talk to Ds. Ds are like, so you got me on the phone. What do you need? Right? That's
Does
a D,
anybody feel
right?
like they're a D? Does anyone identify with a D? Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, I struggle with Ds. So Ds tend to bowl me over a little bit. So I have to like really, I used to have to get out of my desk and walk around when I'm talking to Ds. Because Ds, the last thing they want is someone to beat around the bush, right? And sometimes when people are coming at me, the more they come at me, the more I beat around the bush. So it's like the exact opposite of what's useful, right? And so that's what a D is like. And one of the things that I found out, for me, from a personal note, when I was learning the DISC profile and who I am, because I'm a D and an I, and I am really, I struggle with details. Okay, like I like balancing my checkbook. No, there was a good time in my 20s where I knew I had to pay my phone bill because my phone stopped working. Right, that was me in my 20s. Okay, so I kind of blamed myself for that. Right, I was hard on myself for that. Like, oh, Robin, you're an idiot, right? You can't get this stuff together, whatever. And then what I realized is that you can't have the strengths of a D without the weaknesses of a D, right? It's the same for everything. Like the S the C, the I, they all have strengths, they all have weaknesses, and you can't have one without the other. And it was really helpful to know that like some of the things that make me, me, that some of the things I love about myself are also come with some things that you're not so good at. It's just the only way the world works, right? So I thought that was really helpful. And then also, I'm going to show you my partner is an SC, okay? And so she's definitely not SC. She's a DC, and so she has very little S. And we'll talk about that, what that means when we get there. But so for her, sympathy is somewhere in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. Okay, like that's sympathy is not her foreplay, right? So and that's just true about her. And it doesn't make her a bad person or a good person. It's just true about who she is. She struggles with sympathy, right? So I thought that was pretty cool to learn, and it really kind of helped me with relationships. But anyway, onwards we go from D.
So guys, if you're talking to someone that's a D and they maybe seem aggressive, borderline like rude, remember that might be because they're a high D. They might not intentionally be trying to be rude or aggressive, but they are very direct. And they probably want you to be direct.
Absolutely. So the I's, we're going to go into are basically influencers, right? They're outgoing, optimistic, they're relative. They are your typical outgoing person. They value social relationships and recognition and connection, and they struggle with speaking directly, staying focused in details, right? So you can see how D's and I's might struggle with each other a little bit, right? Communication tips with an I, you want to let them talk, you want to listen, and sometimes you have to master redirection, right? The I in me is I call it squirrely, right? I can be very easily distracted, like squirrel, right? So that's me. Those are I's, right? Our focus is always moving. So we ask about their experience. That's really helpful. In typical occupations or sales, so you're going to see a lot of I's in the real estate world for sure. Okay?
And this is probably the client that's like, oh, I want to live in Manayunk, but I could do Philly too. And I think I want a condo, but maybe a row house would work well. Oh, and I really want outdoor space, but I don't want a lot of grass to mow, right? That's going to be that client. Does anyone recognize that kind of client, right? Does anyone feel like they are an I? They can get that way? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you probably are the people person, right? You're the people that connect really well with everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. They're very relationship based, right? And so how you lose with an I is you forget to talk to them, or you forget, about them. It's for them. It's really about the relationship. And you have clients that are really, that's what they care about, right? They could care less about how great a negotiator you are. They just want someone that cares about them and that's going to have a relationship with them, right?
This is a client every single time you talk to them, whether it's text or on the phone or in an email, you always want to say, hi, how are you? You want to kind of be personable first, then business.
For sure. That's a really great point, right? You're just calling because you need a signature on a change in terms addendum, right? But really you have to be like, so what's been new with you? How's your day going? Even though that's not really what you called for. So that makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you, Dana. All right, the S is steadiness. These are the people that the glue. They're supportive, they're stable, they're calm, consistent, they move slower, they talk slower. They value loyalty and stability and appreciation. They love helping other people. If you remember, my partner doesn't have much S in her at all. Okay, that's okay. She's great at other things, but not this. And that's something. It's so. But anyway, what their weaknesses are: change. And S really hates change. Confrontation. They hate promoting themselves. And a lot of times they won't bring up frustrations. They'll just kind of move away from you. And so with S's, it's really important to check back with them, make sure everything's good. And then sometimes you got to pull information out of an S, right? Because they're not gonna give it up. They're not gonna be forthcoming with their frustrations or their issues. So you want to keep the conversation simple. You want to be nice, gentle. See how even just talking about an S, my voice is changing, right? You want to be nice. You want to talk slow. You want to be low. You want to be steady. And that's just how to communicate with an S. And so you're kind of seeing like this, how the chameleon thing takes shape, right? The person that you're talking to, you're talking like them because that's how they can hear you. It's not because you're trying to get them to do any one thing. It's just, that's how they relate to the world. And these are your teachers, nurses, admins, support roles for the most part.
Does anybody feel like they're an S? Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are the ones that are going to do really, really well with keeping things in control and making people feel really comfortable. You're going to be the ones that ask a lot of questions to make sure you understand stuff first, so you're relaying it to your clients correctly. But just know, if you have a client that's a D or an I, you're going to have to step up your game a little bit for them, right? So if you think about a pet, right? Have you guys ever experienced like, good doggy, good doggy, right? That high pitched, high energy. And then when you change it, oh, no, right? The dog acts differently. Similar with disc profiling. So your steady people are going to really react to that. Think about when things are going to fall through with the deal, right? Like home inspection. Your clients that are S's are going to really be stressed out. They're going to really need a lot of comfort and a lot of understanding. So the more you can prep them before, this is what's going to happen, this is totally normal, that's what you have to keep in mind with those S clients. Same thing for yourself too, if you're an S.
For sure. And that's the third piece of the puzzle too, is right, how the world perceives you, right? So this is you understanding yourself, you understanding your client, and also how your client is perceiving you. That's the third piece of the puzzle. Just so as a side note, by the way, there are amazing agents in all of these categories. So don't think that any of these precludes you from being an agent. There's amazing S agents, amazing C agents, amazing D agents, and amazing I agents, right? They just kind of speak to different people. All right, so the last one is a C, okay? And so if you wanted to know my DISC profile, I'm 99I, 99D, 56S, and 14C, okay? No C at all, which is, thank God I have an admin, otherwise I would not get dressed. All right, so C's, they like systems, they love systems, analyzing, cautious, they're perfectionists, okay? They value quality, being right, accuracy, and predefined systems. Their weaknesses are delegation, giving up control, and quick decisions. C's are notoriously bad at quick decisions. Who do you think would be the best at quick decisions? Anyone?
D.
D's are really good, and I's are really good. I's are really quick decisions, almost to their detriment sometimes, right, Dana? I's can make some quick decisions, not always the right ones. C's always have to make the right decision in their minds, so that's why they'll take their time, okay?
Guys,
You
ever
wanna
have those
focus on
clients, they want to think about it, they want to sleep on it?
Those are your C's. And I've had people like where I have like a whole presentation and they'll just slide it right back to me and be like, what are the numbers? Right? What are the numbers on this? They don't want any of the fluff. So they focus on facts, less emotions. But how do you win with them? You get them talking about their plans and their details, right? You ask them detailed questions about their plans. These are accountants and engineers, okay? So we're doing a lot of talking today, right? But I think understanding the DISC profile is really, really helpful because it's a kind of a simple way to kind of break through to your clients by understanding them in a little bit of a deeper way. And I think that as you go on, like now, when anybody talks, I'm already thinking about, are they a D? Are they an I? Are they an S? Are they a C? Because I can change the way that I talk to them. So there's an elevator joke about the DISC profile. So I'm going to tell it now. To call it a joke is maybe a little generous. It's not super funny, but so they're a D and an I and an S and a C, and they're all waiting for an elevator. Okay. Now they're on 4 floors in a row. Okay. So the D gets on, and he immediately positions himself in front of the buttons in the elevator. And after everybody gets on, he says, "What floor do you want? What floor are you going to? What floor are you going to?" Right? He takes charge immediately. Right? He's the boss of the elevator. Now the I gets on, and the elevator's 80% full. What does the I do? Anybody have a thought? What does an I do when they get on the elevator?
Hi, how are you? How's your day going?
That's right. They start a conversation immediately. All right. What about, so the S gets on, and the S sees that the elevator is 80% full. And what does the S do? No, that's okay. I'll take the next one. Right? The S doesn't want to inconvenience anyone. She'd rather inconvenience herself. So the S takes the next elevator. So then the C gets on, and the C immediately looks at the tag on the elevator to see what the maximum weight the elevator can hold, and then starts looking around and adding up everyone's body weight to make sure that they're within the compliance for the weight on the elevator. Okay, so those are the 4 DISC profiles on an elevator. Okay, all right. So this is the percentage that they're actually broken down into, just so you know. So you're way more likely to encounter an S than you are any of the other groups. Okay. Now remember, people have 2, so you're going to have ISs and CSs and DIs and DCs, but for the most part, you're most likely to run into an S. That's the one you need to practice the most. Okay. So why do we mirror and match? Right? This slide should say why. Why do we mirror and match? So this is an example of a highway, and so this is a D is behind an S in the first example, okay, and the S, like an S is going to do, lets in 2 or 3 cars in traffic, right? It's a busy day on 76. The S lets in 2 or 3 cars, and the D, who's behind the S, what's the D gonna say? That's right. Probably maybe a couple curse words, right? And so that's what the D is going to say. Now let's flip it around. Okay, so the S is behind the D, and the D is swerving in and out of traffic. It pops up on the curb, right? Because it's got to go. The D's got to go where he's got to go. She doesn't care. This D's got to get where they got to get. And the S is behind the D, being like, man, what an asshole, right? Man, so that's the S behind the D. Now, if a D is behind a D, and the D's doing the swerving, right? And the D is behind another D, what are they going to say? Respect. You go, girl, right? Now, if an S is behind an S, and the S lets 2 or 3 cars go in traffic, what's the S going to say? Ah, thank God there's other nice people in this world, right? So this is why we mirror and match, right? We want to be D's with the D's so they don't get frustrated. We want to be S's with the S's so that they don't get intimidated or feel like you're being pushy. And this is kind of why we mirror and match. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And so you have a better definition of the DISC profile in your packet that we gave you for today. So how do we, my admin, this is the greatest little meme video, by the way. I have to give her credit. This is really, really good. But so how do we mirror and match, right? And so I'm gonna bring Jack out of retirement here and have Jack. You ready to do some mirroring and matching with me?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's pretend like Jack called me, and so I'm gonna say, we'll just do the whole thing. Jack, go ahead. Give me ring.
Ring, ring.
Hey,
Oh, am I the agent?
you're the agent. Yep, you're calling me. I'm the client.
Okay. Hey, Robin, this is Jack with the Premier Home Group. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, Jack. I'm doing really good. Life's really good. I'm just having a good time. You know, Christmas coming. Really excited. Got my family coming. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, Christmas, family. It's that all sounds exciting. So, and that's are they coming through to your house this weekend?
What you'll notice is that Jack, if I say hey, he says hey. If I say hi, he says hi. If I say what's up, he says what's up. So we use the word choice. We will also mirror that. Like when I went high energy, he went high energy. When I talked louder, he talked louder. When I talked faster, he talked faster, right? So he's mirroring my conversation, right? Let's try it again, and I'm going to be so that was me being an I. I'm going to try being an S. Not a very good S, but I'm going to give it a shot. Give me a call again.
Ring.
Hey there.
Hey there, Robin. This is Jack with Keller Williams. How you doing?
Notice how Jack and instantly started talking softer, right? Like instantly, his whole demeanor changed. Jack's kind of a pro at this. So that's how we're going to mirror and match. We're not going to have time to get to it today. I knew I'd bit off more than I could chew today, Dana. But we're going to go back. Next time we meet, we're going to go back and we're going to repeat, and we're going to rephrase, and we're going to name the emotion, and we're also going to mirror and match at the same time. That's the next step. So basically what we're doing, y'all, is we're learning different instruments. Okay. At the end, it's going to be a symphony. You're going to be able to use them all at the same time. But right now, we're just going to learn them one at a time. So last week we learned how to ask questions and how to ask probing questions. This week we're learning how to mirror and match, and we're also learning how to reflect and rephrase. And we're going to put those together. And then we're going to put the questions and the rephrasing together. And then we're going to take other pieces of this puzzle. We're going to learn them one at a time. And at the end, we're going to put them together. It's going to be a symphony. But each of them by themselves are just one note, right? So you can't win with it's not a symphony if you're just the oboe, right? So some of these are going to be kind of boring by themselves, but they're going to be really, really positive when we combine them with the other skills, okay? So next week, we'll definitely work on putting some of these together. So we'll work on mirroring and matching and rephrasing and reflecting together. Okay, Alex, I will, Dana might have the recording, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
if Robin, if you have the slides from last week, if you wouldn't mind emailing that to me, that way I can put together the slides and our videos and have those for people to review so they feel prepared.
100%. 100%.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions about what we went over today? Was this helpful?
I think it was very helpful. I was telling Robin that sometimes I think I dance around how they're actually feeling instead of just stating you are stressed out and just like letting it live, like letting them talk. And so it was very helpful.
Anyone else want to share?
Have you ever like labeled the emotion that was wrong? Like you're stressed out and you're like, no, I'm not stressed out. like what happens after that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So we definitely have. Jack, tell me a little bit, give them an example of when that's happened for you.
Yeah, and like sometimes when if people are saying like I got this going on, that going on, and like a whole spread of things that happen in their life, and like I may come with the emotion of wow, that sounds frustrating, wow, that sounds overwhelming, you know, whatever I thought in the moment. And they might come back and be like, yeah, as a matter of fact, you know what, it's kind of exciting. Like I want to, you know, take this new chapter in my life or whatever it may be. But and then you can come on their side of the table once they reveal that emotion. And it really doesn't, whenever I've labeled anything wrong, no one has ever gotten offended. And they're like, you know, actually I kind of feel this way. But then you're on the same side of the table, no matter if you got it wrong or right. You understand this, hey, this is what they're feeling. And then you have a good idea for what that next step is going to be. So we've been making calls for a long while. We haven't gotten any, no, that's not what I'm feeling. Hang up. That hasn't been the issue yet.
And the reality is too, I think, we'll talk about this a little bit later on down the road in another class, but we really want to get, when we hear no, it's almost always a positive thing. And that's going to sound counterintuitive, but the reality is that all the good stuff is in the misunderstand, like where you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you're guessing and they're going to correct you that it's wrong, you're going to learn more from being wrong than you are from being right, which is kind of crazy because they're going to redefine it for you, right? So you're like, oh, it sounds like you'd be stressed. Yeah, it's stressful. You didn't really learn a lot, right? You kind of created a connection because you understood them, but you didn't learn a lot. Yeah, the holidays are stressful. You didn't learn a lot about someone, right? But if they stop you and correct you and say, no, the holidays aren't stressful for me. It's like a magical time. It was always like we built up when I was a kid for a month going into the holidays. It's like my favorite time of the year. I start thinking about it in June, right? You just learned way more about them than if they'd given you some easy yes, right? So I think like it's counterintuitive, but you learn way more when you get to a no, because they're going to correct you and they're going to let you know what's really true. Because if they don't care, they're going to be, yeah, it's stressful, right? So when people correct you, it matters. Your relationship matters enough for them to correct you, right? If you meet someone on the street, you don't care. You're just going to like, yeah, whatever. So it's almost better to get it wrong. Not that you should try and get it wrong on purpose, but when you get it wrong, it is, you get deeper.
Well, thank you guys all so much for being here. I hope you all have a safe and healthy holiday. We will be doing this again next Monday at noon. So if you find this valuable, we would love for you to continue joining us. So take care. And if you guys need anything, please just reach out and let us know.
Next time, we promise it's going to be all tactical and all your ability to like get in there and work with it, right? So today we went through a lot of ground to cover, but for those of you that are new, the goal is to really make this mostly about how to use it and working through that process. So we're going to continue to, next week will be almost all you guys talking and working on this yourselves.
Thank you so much.